All right, so I'm going to open up my PTO program. So again, this is where we will load in any PDF plans. This is where we're going to get the footages, square footages, counts, etc. that we need to then input into PE. So when you first open up PTO, it's just going to give you this blank screen here. So the first thing that we need to do is load in that plan. So on the upper kind of left-hand corner here, we have this file folder. I'm going to select the file folder here. And then from here, I'm just going to go and find wherever that PDF plan is on my desktop. Okay, once I have my PDF plan selected, I'm going to hit open. And then that's going to take me into a new window here. This is the previewer. So this is where all of the pages from the plan are. And then from here, I have to take the image that I would like to then transpose into PTO. So this is the way that I'm going to do this is going to be slightly different from how you are. For some reason, I have a different version of PTO than what anyone I train on does. So you will not have these check marks on yours. So you will have to do this on an individual page basis. So if and I'm going to pull up the plan on my other screen here. So I want to do the first floor walls on this. So I'm going to select my page 3 because I know that is my floor plan. And the first thing that I need to do is I need to zoom this out because what we like to do is have, at least in the width, so from left to right, the entire page, I guess, that I want to see viewed in the screen. Excuse me. So I'm going to go up to my image tools. I'm going to go to zoom image, and then I'm going to zoom that image down. So as you can see now, left to right, it is showing the entire width of my floor plan. And then I can use my scroll button once I crop this to then kind of crop just the image that I want to see. So again, you're going to select your page, go up to your image tools, and just zoom that down so that you can see more on that page. And then from here, I am going to, with my mouse, just use a left click. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to drag. So you can see this red kind of box appears. This is once I select, and again, I can use my scroll bar on my mouse. Okay. Once I hit crop image, it's just going to then show this because I don't need everything from that page necessarily. I just want to see the floor plan. I don't need the page information. So I'm going to select crop image. And then now that's the only thing that I see on here. Okay. So for you guys, once you do these steps, you're going to uncheck to close previewer because you're going to have to come back in here to do your other pages. You will then open in the Takeoff window. Okay, for me, I have to do my check mark here to open it in the Takeoff window. But again, you're going to select, page 3, you're going to crop it, and then you're going to select open in Takeoff window. And then now that portion here has now been transposed into PTO.
Okay.
Okay. So this is just kind of a rinse and repeat. We want to get our floor plans, our elevations, our roof plan, etc., all onto here in order to then get the measurements that we need. So what you're going to do after this is there's a pages tab up here. You will create a new page because again, each portion of the plan that we are cropping and pasting into here all need to be on a separate page. So floor plan will be on one page, second floor, roof, they'll all be in their own page. You can name these if you want to as well. So you can name it floor plan, elevations, etc. You'll hit OK. And then that's going to give you this blank page where again, because I unchecked to close preview, or if I hover over the PTO program here at the bottom, I can go back into where I just was. And then I can then go ahead and select my next page. Again, don't mind the checking of boxes because that is not something that you'll do. So you'll, again, go ahead and select the next page that you want to transpose. And again, we're going to our image tools. I'm going to zoom this. And then again, I am clicking with my left clicker on my mouse. I am dragging to then have the entire image that I want to see on here. Okay, we're going to crop that. And we're going to open that in the Takeoff window. Okay, so now I have my front elevation and my right elevation on here. One thing when you are, and it normally is coming into play when you're doing your elevations, if my front elevation was a 1/4 inch scale and my right elevation was 1/8 inch, which tends to happen, those have to be on separate pages. So again, it's usually only with your elevations where that happens, but you can't have more than one image on here in a different scale. Because once I add all of my plans on here, I'm setting a custom scale to say, you know, from this point to this point, it is 20 feet. Obviously, it's not going to match up on one of them. So, all right, so I did my elevations. Again, you will go up to your pages, create a new page. Again, it's not going to look like mine because it automatically adds them in. Once we have our blank page, again, we're going to go back to our previewer. I'm just going to do one set of elevations. I'm not going to do all of them for this training. So I need to find my roof plan. Let me just hop into my PDF to see which page that is. 7. All right. Again, once I have the page that I want to transpose, going to my image tools, zooming that down. Do you guys do, are you guys trusses or are you hand framing for ceiling joists, rafters, etc.?
Usually trusses.
Trusses, okay.
Once in a while they do hand framing, but most customers we just go with pre-built trusses.
Yeah.
Perfect.
If a false gable needs to be built, they'll usually be handmade with oh my gosh,
The stick framing.
rafters.
Yeah, I've actually run into, I come from the, you know, truss world as well. We, you know, everything was trusses, floor trusses, roofs. I actually run into a lot of customers that I'm training where they are still all hand framed. So,
Oh wow.
which I didn't think, you know, they're small towns in like, you know, Mississippi and, you know, those sort of places where they still do that. But okay, so here's my roof plan. Again, I am going to open this in my Takeoff window, and then now I have my roof plan transposed here. I am going to go in here and just remove, again, because of the way that my program works, it is duplicating my pages. But again, my first page is my floor plan, second are my elevations, and then the third one is my roof plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions on this portion of it?
No.
Okay. All right, so the next thing that we need to do once we have all of our pages in here is we need to set our custom scales. So as you can see here on the bottom, it has the digitizer scale as a 1/4 inch. And when you pull those plans in, they are not going to be a true 1/4 inch scale. And so I always need to pull a dimension from this page and tell the system, you know, this is 55 feet long. So you always will set a custom scale when you are adding your plans into here.
Is that essentially saying that you're calibrating it or
Yeah.
not necessarily? Okay.
Yeah. So because if I were to take a measurement of this right now, you know, I don't know, it's going to be 24 feet.
Right.
Well, it's actually 12 foot 10. So it doesn't, even though your PDF plan is on, you know, whatever, 24 by 36 paper, it's not coming into here with that same scale because I'm cropping the image. I'm not taking the full image in here, etc. And then one thing also, you can see grid lines here. I do not like the grid lines to be on here. I just feel like it kind of makes it a little bit too busy. So there is on the right-hand side here, it says grid true. If I select that and then hit false, it will remove that grid from your view. I don't personally like it. You can keep it on there if you want, but it just too many lines for me. Okay, so now we have to set our custom scale. So this icon here it's also called sets custom scale. I am going to select that, and then I will get this little pop-up box. It's going to say select your first point with your mouse, and then select your second point with your mouse. So again, on, most, probably minus the roof plans, I have dimensions on here. So I am just going to click both of these points, and then I'm just going to enter in that's 20 feet. Hit OK. And then now you can see here my digitizer scaled to a decimal point. Okay, and then again, you're needing to do that on every one of your pages. So again, here's my elevations. I'm going to come in here to set my custom scale. And then I'm just going to pick my 2 points that I want to enter in what that actual dimension is. And then roof plan, let me get back to the floor plan so I know what that width was. Right, 22.2. So again, usually on the roof, you're just going to have to, if they don't have the building lines, you're just going to have to, know what your width is, add your overhangs to get your overall. This one has the building line. So again, I can just select these 2 points, type in 22'2", hit done, and now I have my custom scale set. So that process is extremely important. I have done it before myself, where you get too busy, you forget a page, you're going through your estimate, and all of a sudden, you need 1,000 sheets of OSB, and it's like, that doesn't seem right. Well, I forgot to set my custom scale. So the way that I always do it is add all of my pages first, and then go back and do the scale on every page. It then should, kind of help with not having that whoopsie, I forgot to do that. All right, any questions on setting your custom scale?
No, I think that's pretty good.
Okay. Okay, so after this, we can start to then get our footages that we need. So again, if you've been in the PE program, you kind of know it starts with the foundation and you work your way up. So that's usually where I like to start. On here is usually with floor plan, basement plan, if you have it. And then again, looking at just kind of some of the tools up here, once we start to get our lengths, so our wall lengths, square footage of floor or sheetrock, etc., you see all these little green buttons that we have here. That is how it works with the PE program. So if I have PTO up on one screen and the PE program on the other, and I'm in my 2x6 exterior walls, once I have that length, I can hit this green button and it's going to put that into PE for me. So that would be kind of how the two programs talk to each other, is by being able to load, an area, a pitch, or a count into the field that I'm in PE. Okay. All right, from here I can zoom in and out. So again, with your mouse cursor, you can zoom in and out depending. So again, sometimes they're going to come in smaller. If I want to see more of it, I'm just zooming in on this. So it doesn't matter how small or how large it is on here. I personally like to have it be a little bit larger because then I can actually read, you know, kind of some of the verbiage that's on some of these plans. Okay, so to the right of kind of our counts and areas and lengths, these are the tools we use to then get what we need from all of these pages in here. So the cursor or the pointer is just what you're on, you know, automatically on here. So that doesn't do anything for you. Otherwise, just being able to move from page to page. We have a marker or a count function on here, which usually comes in handy if you're needing to count. If you do anything with foundations, maybe you have posts, you can use a marker, which is then going to add those up. I like to use it with like interior doors to run through, you know, my different sizes and just get a count of them, things like that. Whenever you see something is red, that means it's highlighted, and you'll see some sort of a value up here. You can delete. So if you accidentally screwed something up, I can right click on my mouse and delete it. It's going to delete those as well. Okay. Once you have completed this and you just double click anywhere, the standard color is going to be blue on everything. So you'll know if something is highlighted or not if it's red on that. Okay, we have our 3 different types of lines that we do. The first one is a segmented line, and that is where I am just wanting to get an individual length. So just as an example, I'm going to select my segmented line, and I'm just going to, again, single click point to point. Okay, it's giving me my length here. When I then select it again, it's just giving me this. So you can do you can continuously get lengths, but it's not going to add them up on here. So, you know, I went through and did actuals for all of my header material versus getting lineal footage. So I usually use this for all of my openings to get my opening sizes. You know, if you have beams and whatnot within a plan where I need to pull that beam size, you know, I need a 24-foot piece there. You know, here's another beam. You know, that's 24 feet, etc. You can do as many lines as you want. It's just not going to add them up. So typically not used when you're wanting to get your footages of your walls, because you obviously want to have, you know, your overall footage on that. And again, on these though, I can select them all if I needed to get overall. But again, this segmented line is not common to use on your floor plans. We do tend to use this on roof plans when we're doing like our hips and valleys where we're needing to enter in pitches that are different, etc. So that would be our segmented line. Next up, we have our aggregated lines. This is most commonly used for walls. So again, I have walls scattered all over the place. I want to be able to select each wall and then have that length add up the more that I go on that. With this one, I can run this wall here, and then I could come here and select this. It's going to add them up together. So it does not have to be a continuous line. I can go from wherever to wherever, and it's just going to continuously add up the dimensions on that. Okay. We have our polyline. Polyline is used if you have a continuous line. So if I was wanting to get my exterior walls, this is if you don't have to skip over anything. So if there isn't, you know, height differences in your walls, etc., a polyline does work. The difference between a polyline and the aggregated lines is it's single clicks at each point on the polyline because it's going to be one continuous line. From here, after I click, I now can't go over here, right? Because it is continuous. So you You can't jump from one place to the other on your polyline.
Wow.
And then we have our 2 items for square foot. So we got a polygon and a rectangle. So again, most houses nowadays aren't a perfect rectangle. So a polygon is going to get you square footages for flat. So for your floor sheathing, etc. If you have vaults in your houses and you're doing your lid sheetrock, we can also add pitches to that to get our true square footage of that. So I'll go through all of these again once I'm starting to kind of work on this plan. But these here are going to be, you know, the items that you're going to use just based on what it is you're trying to work on. Okay, so looking at our floor plan here, again, main things we get are lineal footage of wall, our square footage for sheetrock, counts for our doors, etc. From this one plan. So I'm going to start with the walls on this of going through the exterior and the interior walls, and then we'll move on from there. And again, if you are just going to be using this program right away, you can do your house and your garage in the same line. Once you start working in PE, your house exterior walls and your garage exterior walls are in a separate assembly. Just because maybe the garage walls aren't finished, they may be different heights, etc. And so normally, you know, when I run through this, I usually do the house and the garage separate, just because that's how that program kind of works. So, but again, if you're just using this to, you know, get footages, you're not using the PE program, you can certainly combine both of those. All right, so for my exterior walls, I'm going to select the aggregated lines. And again, you're just going to start at a point. And then again, each time that you have a corner, it's just a double click to then continue on to the next one. I'm double clicking at this corner, double clicking that corner, and then going on.
I'm
Once
sorry,
you are
and you're using what now?
the
segregated?
the aggregated lines.
Aggregated.
Yep. And then once you're done, so I've done my house, you right click on your mouse. That's going to clear that. So you have your cursor back. And then here is my length. So it's 168 feet of house exterior walls on this. Okay. I can then come back in, select my aggregated lines again. And then again, if I'm choosing to do this separate, I can do my garage. Right clicking when I'm done. Here's my 70 feet of garage walls. And again, just double clicking anywhere to then clear out that will just put you kind of back to square one. So like I said, our line default color is blue. We do have options to change that. So normally on like a simple house, I'm not changing the colors of the walls just because, you know, I know what a 2x4 wall versus a 2x6 wall. I usually like to change my colors on roof plans when I'm doing my hips, valleys, etc. But if I am selecting the lines that I just did, we now have our properties over here to the right, and we have our line color. So I can come in here and then switch this to green. And then again, you can just, you know, see the difference from one to the other. You also have line widths as well, where you can make this thicker or thinner, you know, if you would like to on that. So exterior walls are pretty self-explanatory. Again, just using the aggregated lines and just going from point to point on that. I'm going to use the same lines when I go to my interior walls on here, because again, I can jump from one wall to the next. It does not have to be continuous. So again, I always run through door openings, you know, so it's really just a simple, if I'm going from here, and then I'm cutting over through the closet, I'm going to double click on this corner to continue. Okay. And then if it's just one wall. It's just single clicking on both, and then I can then move to the next. So the only time that you double click is if you have more walls that you can continue with. Otherwise, it's just a single click. So again, here I can turn the corner. So I'm going to double click at that corner. That went a little kitty wampus there. Otherwise, it's just my single clicks at each point here.
Yeah.
And once you get good at this, I mean, you can get your footage for your walls in, 2 minutes. It's this program, in my opinion, is a very simple program to use, but it gets you what you need. So again, I want to be able to get my footages very quickly for things like this. I personally do not want to go off of a plan or even the digitizer that your current estimator is using. This is just quick, it's fast. I don't have a lot of kind of bells and whistles like a lot of other estimating programs have, but that's what I need. I need to know what my 2x4 interior walls are. It's 242 feet. Okay, again, you can update your color if you would like to. And then from here, again, I can select my aggregated lines again, and then I can come in and get my 2x6 interior walls. Again, that was all single clicks because none of them had an intersection. Once I'm done, I'm just right clicking. I have 28 feet of 2x6 walls.
It's good to note too that your 2x6 interior walls are, we would call it a plumbing wall.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Or I do, anyways.
Yeah, because that's normally the only spot you see them is behind your your toilets. Yep. Okay, so that is really, how you get your footages for your walls. You're typically using your aggregated. I typically use the aggregated lines for everything. You can possibly do the polyline for the outside if you wanted to, but again, it's just coming in here and just clicking on each point that you need to pull that line from. Okay, any questions on the walls?
No.
All right, so now that I'm done with the walls, let's say I want to get square footage. So instead of now coming in on this same layer and then doing a polygon here, that's going to then go over what I've already done. You can create more than one layer on each page. So again, I like to do my footages on one page, square footage on the next. If I'm doing counts for my interior doors and trim, etc., they're all going to be on different layers. So up top here, upper left-hand corner, we have layers, and then you can just select new layer. Again, just like your pages, you can change your layer name if you want to. I'm just going to hit OK. And then now it creates a second layer up here that now has my blank floor plan on it again. So I can always go back to this. But again, I like to, not have too much going on a single layer. So you can have as many layers as you want on here. All right, so square footage, whether it's your floor sheathing or your sheetrock for your lid, etc., we are going to be using one of two, either the rectangle or the polygon. Okay, so I'm going to select my polygon. I'm going to get my square footage of my garage, let's say. So again, with a polygon, it is single clicking at each point. Once you're done, you right click. It does give you your overall length. And then here's my area, 516 feet. Okay, and let's say for the house, this great room here has a vault down the center of it. So I need to get my square footage of my flat ceiling as well as my square footage for my vault. So I am still going to use my polygon here. Okay, I'm going to go through and select my points, but I'm going to leave out my great room because I need to do a separate polygon or rectangle to enter in that pitch. So I'm just going around it to get my flat plane. Okay, so we have, 1642 of flat ceiling on here. And then again, depending on the shape, I'm going to use a rectangle on this. If I'm using a rectangle, I'm just clicking and dragging. So here's my flat area of my great room. Okay, I now have this pitch over here on the right hand side. So I can come in here and say that's a 612 pitch, hit enter, and then now that area updated based on the pitch of that. Okay, then from here, this one's already selected. I'm just going to hover over the other one, which will then select both. And then now I have my overall area of my ceiling. Okay, so again, I can select one of these and you can select multiples. So again, if you have different pitches and whatnot inside the house, you can then select all of them to get your overall square footage of that. Okay. After square footage, if we, again, I'm going to create a new layer because I just want that on that one layer. As far as like headers go, do you guys just get your lineal foot for headers, or do you do exact on that? How do you?
It kind of depends on the layout. I mean, if all the windows look the same, I'll just figure counts for my headers. But
Okay.
if I got multiple different widths, I come up with a lineal foot.
Yeah, so on here, if you're doing like a lineal foot, let's say, I can use my aggregated lines, and obviously headers aren't going to be your exact width of your window, so I could come in a bit, just a factor for that. And then, that would then add up my length, 24 feet times 2 for a double header on that. Otherwise, if you're needing, if this header is an LVL or an engineered material versus these being, lumber, you could come in here and use your segmented lines because again, I just want to get my opening here. That's 8 feet. So, I would send well, either if you're rounding it up to 10 or if you're sending an 18-foot LVL, let's say. So either of those, a segmented line or an aggregated line will work. It's just going to be dependent on, do I just need the overall footage or do I need to get some exact measurements for my headers on here? That would be one thing, especially if you're needing to do exact in the PE program, unless yours has been updated, it is kind of a manual entry. So usually you'll have your list of, headers in there where you're going to, need to know I need 3/8, 4/10, etc. if it's a non-lineal foot type entry in there. But again, just using either of these two line options will get you what you need on the headers. All right, then from here, I only did 3 of these. I'm not going to create a new layer, but let's say we're going to be doing our interior doors and trim. As far as like your base goes, is that something you typically just calculate based off of your walls, or do you come in here and actually do your footage for base?
A lot of times it's off your wall length and stuff. On it.
Okay, and that again is how PE is set up as well. So once you enter in your footages for your exterior and interior walls, it will calculate that for you. So normally then just for this, it's going to be the marker. So I need to get a count of all of my doors and the different sizes that they are. So I'm going to click on my marker here, and then I'm going to run through and do all of my 3-foot doors first, let's say. Okay, so I have 5 3/0 doors. Again, when I'm done with those, I'm going to right click. I like to make these larger just because it's just nice to come back and see if I missed one after I'm done with it. Okay, so I have my 3/0 doors. I can now do my 2'6" doors. I don't know if that says 2'8" or 2'6", but I'm going to do a 2'6". 2'4", 2'4", 2'6". Okay, so again, I can run through, do my 2'6" doors. I'm going to change again that, and then I'm going to update my color just so again I can see the differences here. So now I have my markers done for 2'6", and then again I can then go and do my 2'4" doors. Right click when I'm done. And then once you're done, and I don't need to do all of them, I think you probably get the point of the marker. But once you're done, again, it's just nice to then be able to come back here and say, oh, yep, I forgot that door there. You know, so it's good for just not having to count with your fingers and then to be able to come back and just double check that you marked everything that you needed.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be the floor plan in a nutshell. Anything that I'm missing that you guys would estimate from the floor plan?
Got the doors, we got the base. For doors, you can do your casing.
Yeah, and so for your casing, again, depending on how you have the program, usually how PE is set up is by count. So I could come in here and just get a count of all my windows. And then usually in PE, you'd put this count in there and it's going to figure, I don't know, I think we had 20 feet as an average length or perimeter for windows. So it should calculate based on just the count of windows.
Okay.
Beats what I've been doing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, because again, it's an estimate. I don't, how much, the
Right.
trim, your interior doors and trim is always the one that's going to take the longest anyways, where some of it, I want to have more of an average than having to calculate, exact what some of these are. So that is probably how it's set up, is you can use your count tool to get this, and then once you add that in, it's going to average out the number times footage for your casing. Okay. Any questions on the floor plan?
Any questions?
No, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. All right, moving on to the elevations. Elevations, main thing would be siding material, your exterior window trim, your gable end sheathing, because again, I'm doing my walls and my roof. This is not going to be included in it unless you're possibly doing hand framing, if that's a false gable, etc. So again, what I am using for this is going to be either my polygon or my rectangle, as well as maybe some of the line functions if we have, some eave trim, some gable trim, depending on what type of siding you guys are quoting. So what I'm going to do here first is I want to get my square footage of my siding on here. So I'm going to select my polygon on this. And then it really is just a simple, I'm going to cut out my door. It's just coming through here. And again, just single clicking at each point.
Nice.
To get my square footage.
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, up here in this triangle portion, again, I can use my polygon. Okay. Again, I can select both. So there's my overall 530 square feet. Do you guys deduct a lot of your windows when you're doing your siding?
Sometimes they just do them without deducting the windows, just because it's better to have a little extra.
Okay. So the way, if you, yeah, okay, yeah. So if you needed to deduct windows, let's say, there's not like a deduct tool on here. So I will get my square footage of my overall, and then I will come back and do my rectangle to then just pull, again, on the rectangles, it's just a click and drag. So I'm going to just get my area of each window, and then I
Okay.
can select all of them to then, from my whatever 530 square feet, I need to deduct, 90 square feet from that.
Okay.
Okay, it's easier.
Okay. And again, that rectangle works for your trim as well if you have window trim. Obviously, this one has toppers on it, so you're not going to probably do, a full rectangle on them. So if it's, a 4 or a 6-inch trim around all 4 sides, that rectangle works. Otherwise, again, I can come through here, do my aggregated lines. I'm going to do my sides and my bottom, etc. We can move from, from front to right, because again, I want to combine everything, okay, to then get my footage for that. Okay, because I already have my square footage, I can single click on lines as well. So if I need to know how much starter I need, there's, 50 feet of starter there. If you have eave trim, again, instead of having to create a new layer and run your lines, I can then just click on these. I need 55 feet here. Here's my gabled trim of, 26 feet, etc. So it doesn't matter if you're using one for square footage or one for lines. You can always click directly on a line to get just that. Okay, again, you can multi-select to add that up. And then again, to get the overall square footage or length, you're clicking next to it to then select all of it.
Yeah.
So again, elevations are pretty self-explanatory. And again, if I'm doing my polygon here, I'm going to get as much as I can on here. So obviously we have, trim pieces in between, and, I'm not going to have something where I'm going to eliminate things that don't necessarily matter. I'm just going to take out large. So here's my overall of, 754 on that. And again, because I have both of these on the same page, I can have that highlighted. I can come up here and highlight these. Okay, so all of them are highlighted. Now on both of these elevations, it's 1280 square feet.
Nice. You did that in what? 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Now, I've been doing this for quite a few years. It takes a little bit of time just to know single click, double click, right click,
Right.
kind of the clicking of it. But yeah, once you get used to it, I mean, this plan here, if I was going start to finish, I mean, it could be, I don't know, for sure in under 30 minutes, I could probably get everything.
Holy smokes.
It'd take me 3 days, at least.
Because it's just, and again, I was an estimator. Well, I mean, it's been quite a few years. I was an estimator for like 3 years. When I became an estimator, I'd worked in the building industry, so I knew products and, whatnot, but I never estimated houses. So I learned from the PTO system and the PE system. So from day one of me estimating, that's all I used. So I did that for 3 years. Now I'm at Epicor, and on the side, I'm a implementer for BizTrack, but I do this on the side. So, I've been, working in these programs for 6+ years probably. But yeah, it's, to me, it's like, this is easy, right? For people that are just getting in there, it does take some time to just be comfortable with how to use these and whatnot. But once you get it, it's just kind of second nature.
We're done. Yep. I'll get everything off.
Okay, so any questions on the elevations?
Not too much. I think it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be once we play around with this, when I find out my
So
Yeah.
it's obvious when you're ready to do the roof, that's going to be done separately then. I mean, you
Yes.
can't, with everything highlighted right now, you can't just jump to the roof and figure that.
You want
No.
to use a roof plan rather than elevation.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
use a
yeah.
roof
Yep.
plan.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
if you don't have a roof plan, I mean, you can use this to get your, again, you're
Right.
gonna have to do it manual, but I can at least
Yeah,
get,
sure.
some lengths to kind of help me out.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you're right. I
yeah,
wasn't thinking when I asked that question.
it's all good. Okay, all right, so moving on to the roof. Hopefully, most
There you go.
drafts
There's your
people that you
segue.
work with send you a roof plan, because having a roof plan is really nice. Again, it saves. I never hand estimated roofing materials a day in my life. I don't even know if I could, looking at elevations and whatnot. So again, to me, it's just so nice to have a roof plan on here, because I can get my square footages of my entire roof. I can get my lineal
yeah.
footages for my valleys, hips, gables, all that directly from here. So the first thing that I normally start with is my square footage. So again, with square footage, the only time that I need to do separate polygons is if my pitch is different, right?
Mhm.
If I have a 412 pitch, I'm going to have to enter that in. If it's an 812, I'm going to enter that. I do not have to do each plane separately when I'm doing my square footage. So the roof on the garage, right, each side is a 1212. So I'm going to come in here and do my polygon. And again, I'm just going to select the entire portion that is 1212. Okay, once I have my shape, again, I'm going to come over to my pitch, entering a 1212. There's my square footage for that portion.
Phenomenal.
And then you're just gonna go on. So again, looking at this, all of this is an 812 pitch. So I am gonna come in here and do the entire thing. Again, when you're doing a polygon, it's just a single click. I'm gonna cut in here at that. Okay, so here's that. Again, entering an 812 pitch. Okay. And then I always like to, and again, it's not going to be on these, it's not going to be too much square footage, but obviously we're looking at the bird's eye view. So this plane is lower than this plane. I always like to come back through and just pull where my overhangs are, so that I'm including that in my square footage. Again, it's not going to be a lot, but I can come back through here, get these, we have a 6-inch overhang on that one, to then just make sure that I'm figuring the actual square footage for my sheathing. And then we have our 412 pitch. So again, I'm just going to come here, do my 412. Okay. And now, because I have different things, I'm just going to click and drag. I have 3936 square feet. That was, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
Okay, so I have my square footage on one layer. I'm going to then get my lineals and put those on another layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. And this is where I'll get my eaves, gables, valleys, etc. I always like to do my eaves and ridges first because they're a flat plane. So it's just very similar to how I'm doing my walls. I'm going to select my aggregated lines. This is even labeled. How nice of them. So I'm going to again come through and just do my ridges first. Just single clicking at each point. Okay, I got 116 of ridge. Again, I like to change my colors on this just because we can then come back in here and do all of our eaves. I'll just start up front here. Again, just single clicking on most of these.
doing your ridge cap, once you just mark off your eaves, you can do your ridge cap, or not your ridge cap, but your drip edge.
Yeah.
Yep, so there's my eaves. Again, switching up the color. What did I do there? Blue. Okay, so those two again, I use my aggregated lines because there's no pitch. They're flat. Okay, once we get to our gables, I like to use the segmented lines on my gables. So I go through and do each of them. Again, we have different pitches at different areas. So I am going to just come through. I'm going to do my all of my gables first, and then I can come back and select all my 812s. I guess there's my 812s. There's a 412 and a 1212. So I'm going to do these first, and then once I'm done with that, I can then go back and select multiples. So this is an 812. That's an 812, and that one's an 812. Okay, I'm going to put my pitch in there for those three. Might as well change my color because they're highlighted. Okay, come back and do my 412. And then my 1212. Okay, because I did the segmented lines, again, to then come back and get my overall, I do then have to just quickly, it's not too much. Oh, I forgot those two. Select these to then get your gable length plus these two that I didn't do. All right. And then when it comes to hips and valleys, I like to use smart objects on those because again, most of the time my valley, like in this case, I have an 812 pitch on one side of it, then a 1212 on the other. So what do you put for a pitch? If you're just doing one of the lines, I want to put both of these pitches in there to accurately get my length of my valley.
What'd you call it? Smart
A
object?
smart object. Yep. So you're going to use your same segmented line. Okay. So I'm going to pull this one dimension here. When I'm done with this, I'm going to right click and go to my roof layout smart objects. And I only do the smart objects for the hips and the valleys because it does take a little bit more time to enter it in. Gables, ridges, I don't, just because I like to cruise through most of it. So I'm going to select my valley. And then now we get this pop up here where I can enter in my 1212 pitch and my 812 pitch. Hit OK. Okay, and then now this has, this pitch based on those two adjacent pitches that I put into it.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to select my segmented line. I'm going to come in here and just do my 2 points. I'm going to right click to finish and then right click to assign it to my Valley Smart Object. And then it saves it from the previous. So that is still an 812 pitch. Hit OK. And then there's that length of that valley.
Nice.
I don't have any hips on here, but if you have one, it's going to be the same as the valley, where I'll pretend this is a hip. If I select this, go to my smart objects and do a hip, it's going to be the same thing. I'm entering in both pitches. It's just going to give it a different line color than my valley. And that would be the footages for your roof. So again, on all your flat planes, I like to use the aggregated lines. On all the dimensions where they have pitches on them, use the segmented. And then you can multi-select if you have different areas that have the same pitch on that. Do you want me to show you how to use, so there's 2 other tools. And again, this is mainly for companies that are doing a lot of hand framing, but we have a joist routine. So if you're doing floor joists, ceiling joists, etc., we have a routine for that. And then we also have a rafter routine if you needed to do roof rafters. Would you like to see how that works?
As well.
Yeah, might as well.
Can't hurt.
Might
Yeah.
as well. Okay. I will do
open.
the roof one first since we're on this. So I'm going to select my wizard here. Actually, I'm going to do this on a different page just so I don't. I'm going to create a new page and add this roof onto it because I already have that other one looking nice. And I need to do my scale. That was 22.2. All right, so if you ever need to do hand framing on your roofs, the roof rafter really comes into handy just for your rafter length. So it's going to give you your counts and your lengths on all of your rafters. So I'm just going to come through here and just do a couple things on this. So I'm going to select my rafter routine. For your roof rafters, I always skip the first step. It says to outline the entire roof. That to me doesn't really do anything because you have different pitches everywhere. So it's not really going to give you anything. So I always skip that step. And then the next step is to outline my roof section. So here what we do is we always select our settings first. Our settings on this, you will be able to enter in what spacing it is for your rafters, as well as what pitch that is. So these are 16 inches on center. It's an 812 pitch. And then again, we can select smart objects for this as well. So if you had, and this goes with both the joist routine and the rafter routine, if you have different dimensions, once we go to run the report to kind of optimize all of these, I maybe have 2x6s somewhere, 2x8s, depending where I like to select this. If everything is going to be the same, you wouldn't have to select this every time. I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, now I'm going to trace my roof section. With these, again, I'm going to be tracing each plane. So I'm going to do this one first here. You're going to hit next. Your origin and your starting point is really just where is this starting at. So I'm going to select my ridge as a starting point. And then again, wherever I click, it's going to put the first rafter on it, essentially. Again, to me, it doesn't really matter where. So I'm just selecting the same place that I did the origin. And then from here, we're just setting our direction of which way the rafters are going. There's this little info button. So if they are running north, you're entering in 90, and if it's west, it's 180. Okay, so these are going left to right. So I'm going to put in 180, hit next, and then now it lays out my rafters.
Wow. Phenomenal.
Okay, now I hit next section. It takes me then to outline my next roof section, where again, I can verify spacing, pitch. I can select, I'm just going to do 2x8s just to kind of show you. And then now I can come in here and then select the next plane. Once I have it outlined, I'm hitting next. And again, I'm selecting my origin, my starting point. Again, I just click the same always. And then the direction that that's going into. Once you're done, you hit done. We hit no here because we do that on the other page. And then once you have your entire routine laid out, there's a reports section up top here. And then I can go to view takeoff by page. Okay, I'm going to select the page I'm on. I'm on page 4. Okay, once I select my page, it then pulls up this report for me. So again, because I did 2 different dimensions, you see 2x6 is here, 2x8's here. It's going to have your single count actual lengths rounded. So it's going to obviously round up to an even length. And then from here, I want to optimize because I don't want to have to then count how many of each length I need. So we have this optimize tool here. Minimum length usually is going to be an 8-foot piece of lumber. Maximum length, we can go up to 36 feet in here. So depending on what your max length is for your lumber, you can put that in here. I select optimize, and then it just optimized all of mine. So now I have my different counts here with my different lengths.
Cool.
Okay, so again, once we have this completed, it's reports, view takeoff by page, and then that will then, it always minimizes for me, but that'll take you into here. First down here, it's just going to be everything. Once you optimize, again, it's going to combine like lengths with the correct size of lumber that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be on your roof. Again, it's going to be the rafter routines. On our floor plans, if we have like a crawl space, maybe they're doing, you know, I don't know, 2x10 joists, whatever the case may be, we can do the same thing on our floor plan with the joist routine. So I'm going to select the joist routine. Here, because it's a flat plane, you can essentially outline the entire floor if you wanted to. We can also do cutouts as well. So if you have stairs in the middle, we don't want our joists running through the stairs. You can actually select your cutouts on here, and then it will, you know, run your joists up to that point. Just going to hit next for now. So let's say, you know, we have joists in the garage for whatever reason. Again, I'm just going to come through here. I know it's not going to span the whole way, but again, just for kind of showing you how this works, just going to do the open area here. Okay, I traced my floor bay. Again, we have settings. What center spacing is it? Let's say it's 24 inches on center. These in there are going to be 2x10s. Okay. You can hit OK. Again, and we have an origin point and a starting point. So there's my origin. There's my starting point. Same with the directions. It's either 180 or 90. You hit next. There's my joist. Next bay. So again, this is very similar to the roof. We're just obviously not putting in a pitch on here. So again, I can come in here and again, just select a random area. There's my next bay. I can go to my settings, still 24 inches on center, but now let's say these are 2x8s. Okay, I'm going to select my origin and my starting point. And then again, let's say that these are going 90, just because. Okay, and now it laid those out. So just like with the rafters, once I'm done with this, I can go up to my reports, view takeoff by page on page 3. Okay, again, it's just showing everything. And then once I optimize, it'll have my 2x10s and 2x8s broken out.
All right, I like it.
Makes it easy.
Yeah.
So that's those two. Anything that you can think of that I'm missing as far as something you guys estimate?
I'm not thinking of anything she hasn't got to.
No, I know. I can't think of anything.
No.
Okay. It's only been about an hour. I know I have to be up
Right.
2 hours, which again, I just kind of preset times, whether it takes 1 or 2. Do we want to go over anything again? Are you feeling good on maybe getting in and kind of doing your own thing, until our next meeting tomorrow?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to practice a little bit, try to see what I remember, because I know I'll forget something and go, oh, how did I do that?
Yeah, we're pretty good with computers as it is, and what was it, Blue Beam, or there was another software estimating that I used in the past. I forgot the name of it. Blue Beam. Does that sound familiar?
I have not heard of it, but I don't really stay on top of other estimating programs personally.
I'm somewhat familiar with
Okay.
these processes.
Yeah, I mean, they
And
all
then
kind of
every
work
day,
the same, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, I can let you go. I will. Well, both of you, I believe, are on this meeting invite, so I will email the recording to this
Yeah.
meeting.
That's great.
And then, yeah, if you guys have some time to kind of get in today, tomorrow morning, what time is our meeting tomorrow? It's at an hour earlier
o'clock?
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's at
I'm
1
not-
o'clock for us tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you want to just get in and kind of, do some practicing, we can kind of just review, review tomorrow.
But do not disturb fire desks.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Okay. Otherwise,
Yeah,
and if
good.
you have any questions, once you're getting into the program, you can't do something, to shoot me an email. I'll help you out.
Will do.
Okay.
We'll play around with it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Hannah.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just playing around with it now.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be more intimidating, but it's not. You know how fast we're gonna get shit done?
Yeah. And see, I learned it a year ago, but or 3 years,
Well,
but I never used it.
Subconsciously, it's still in your brain.
Yeah, somewhere there. There's something in my brain somewhere. I
Yeah.
just got to find it.
Then it's just gonna come at you at once.
This is supposed to go to.
You're right. Something that took her.
She's been doing it a while. It'll take me a while, because I won't. Because I would have to try to, because she went through it all. I'm gonna have to go look up my brain.
I wish she'd got me involved in this a long time ago, you know?
Right.
Oh, well.
Well, and she explained it better than the last guy who showed it to me. He was just rattling through stuff, and I'm like going, huh?
You know, I thought she was pretty thorough.
Yeah. It's just now to make it look, and I tried in between time, doing stuff, but it was like I couldn't get the stuff to import. That was my problem. So now I gotta make sure to try it again and try to import it again. The guy sent me a different credit card. I'm a little bit concerned because last credit card was denied. It's over the phone, but
Is this that guy from the other day?
yeah, but he sent me a driver's license, and everything matches up. Driver's license, but his other credit card was out of Pittsburgh. His driver's license is from Richland. But I talked to Tom. I said it's about $3,000. I said, but everything matches. So he said he sent somebody in to pick it up. So it's not like we're shipping it anywhere.
Right,
But you know how you just get nervous about stuff like that.
right.
I do at least.
You gotta do anything with this, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it down.
Okay.
He's got to find his remote.